guys. So today I want to review Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Yeah, this movie is pretty depressing. I mean, it's okay, but depressing, really depressing for obvious reasons. But they even add something else that makes it even more depressing, man. Which I guess I'll talk about in spoilers because I'm just quickly gonna go through the movie spoiler free. So yeah, to be honest, this is a movie that shouldn't have been made really. After what happened to Chadwick Boseman and his passing, I mean, they said that no one else was going to become the Black Panther, and in the trailer, they kind of revealed that someone else does become the Black Panther. And if you don't already know, then I mean, it's pretty obvious that Shuri is the one who basically replaces him, and Marvel made a promise that they wouldn't really replace the Black Panther. So I guess they decided to go against those wishes for people and just show no care. Yeah, it's like if Stanley had like one final wish and they didn't care. They just did whatever they wanted, basically. I mean, I'm not saying that's Chadwick Boseman's last wish. He probably would be fine with someone else becoming the Black Panther, but since he felt like a one of a kind and he couldn't really be replaced, yeah. I guess fans just didn't really want to see anyone else as the Black Panther. And when it actually happened, like right now, yeah, it just doesn't feel right. I mean, eventually, I guess it would have been fine. It's just that they kind of replaced him too soon when they said they wasn't going to do it. But if it got to a point where, you know, it'd be fine, then yeah. And then there's the actual story, which is just the present because it basically uses like Bossman's death as the beginning of the story, and then as it goes on, I guess it gets a bit less sad, but then something happens at the end of the second act, and then it just makes me depressing again. It's just because there are moments where it kind of recaptures what Black Panther did, because the first one was like a celebration for black people. It kind of brought them all together and it kind of made them have this thing that they was proud of. The second one's just so depressing in two different ways. One obviously being Chadwick Boseman's death, and there's like a second thing that makes it more depressing, which I'll talk about in spoilers. Like my God, I mean, I only watched this movie because I was kind of downloading something, so I didn't have anything else to watch. So I guess I gave it a shot. But then yeah, I mean, it's not awful. I thought it was gonna be truly awful, but it's not awful. It's not too woke. It's just it's depressing and just okay. Because moments it's boring, moments it's depressing, and then it's just like an okay level. Yeah, because there's moments that I guess I find okay, like the stuff with Ironheart. I mean, I thought it would be cringe, but it was just okay. Kind of reminded me of Well, I'd rather talk more about that when I get to spoilers, really. But yeah, it definitely reminded me of something what I've already done before. But yeah, so I can only say that she was just okay with what they even do with her in this movie. It's just the CGI with the suit and stuff. It's terrible. I mean, Doctor Strange 2, when it came to the eye, it's probably the worst thing I've seen, but the suit is terrible. And you've probably already seen it leaked and stuff, but if you haven't, then yeah, guess you'll see soon. But yeah, just the tone of the movie. It wasn't really enjoyable like the first one. The first one just had such a vibe to it, where the second one was just like, oh, it's just such a downer for obvious reasons. But then they do something where it seems like things are kind of having its high ups, like finally, and then they just do something that makes it go down again. I'm just like, damn, man, why? It's so messed up. I mean, I'm at a point where I'm not even a fan of Marvel anymore. In the movies, I must have just talking about the movies, not like animated movies or whatever else, and all the stuff they've done in the past. It's just the recent movies and I guess some of the TV shows. Yeah, they've just failed at this point. I only gave this a shot just to see how it would turn out, and I wasn't really doing much today, so I just watched it because I wasn't really planning to watch this. It's just because I literally had nothing planned today, so I just watched it. So I was always expecting it for it to not be that good as the first one. I mean, it's not even close as well. as for the Namor stuff, I guess I'll talk about that properly in spoilers. But yeah, all I can say is that it was okay with what they're trying to do, but it'd be funny if like something that's coming out next month kind of does it better than whatever they was trying to do in this second movie with Namor and his people. Yeah, I mean, to some degree it was interesting, but I just feel like there was no one movie that how they put the tone and everything. Like Jesus, I wouldn't say Namor's awful. He definitely brought something different, but yeah, yeah, could have been done better. Mm, it's one of those where it could have been done better. And overall, before I talk about spoilers, I don't know. It's, man, it's just depressing, man. That's all I can say, really. Boring at times, and depressing at times, and just okay at times. It's those three things. That's how I'll basically sum it up. Boring, depressing, and just an okay movie. Yeah. Compared to the first one, like that was a great film. Just it did a lot for superhero movies. It did a lot for black people. Just how they. Oh man, the first one was just so good, man. And rewatching it, it's aged even better. This one, oh. I'm just gonna talk about spoilers now. In three, two, one, yeah. So yeah, the Chadwick Boseman stuff. I know they had to make it a part of the story, but to the point where they bring in some like real life stuff into it. I mean, they don't go as far as like that Bruce Lee movie, like one of his last movies, where they literally use stuff from his actual death, like you literally see his corpse in the movie. I'm not saying they go that far, but using pictures and stuff, like stuff like that, it's a bit much. I mean, they could have showed his funeral scene, but just yeah. I mean, that's not even the worst part of the movie. Obviously, it's just the way how they did it, man. It was a bit much, and the rest of the movie is just a downer after that. And then it seemed like it gets to a point where it goes up again, but then with basically, since I'm talking about spoilers, there's like a over death, over character death, because they kill off T'Challa in the beginning because they didn't really have a choice because the actor passed away in real life, and then later on they kill another character, which I'll get to. I just want to talk about the main plot first. So yeah, basically they kind of lose T'Challa, and it seems like because I guess the government find out about that, they try to infiltrate Wakanda to steal the vibranium. They basically failed the infiltration, and they kind of take the soldiers hostage and bring them to like I guess where they're negotiating with the government to show that they're not really going to work with them because what they tried to do, and I guess they didn't even really want to work with them anyway, even though that was what T'Challa wanted. But it seems like they've kind of gone against that after T'Challa died because this is like a 1 year later time skip when they're having this conversation, I think. And yeah, they don't want anything to do with the government. They don't want to share anything at this point. They just want to close their doors, but then the government's not really agreeing with that. And then something happens with like I guess the Navy SEALs where they kind of get attacked while finding vibranium underwater, and that's basically like Namor's people because they have vibranium. And when they think it belongs to like possibly the Wakandans, and they try to basically attack the seals, but it's actually like Namor's people who actually does it. And man, just them being blue. Obviously, I'm just gonna think of Avatar because that's coming out next month. So we're basically seeing Avatar before it comes out a month early, lol. Yeah, I mean they're strong, man. Yeah, strong people. I mean you get to see the world. When Shuri gets kidnapped, I'm just like, wow. I mean that's one of the parts of the movies that was where I was just like, wow. I actually said, wow. They did a good job here. Then he's showing us something even better than Wakanda. Like I have to give him for that. Like how they made this underwater, world just looks so good. Yeah, I have to say that at least that's the most impressive thing of the movie, to be honest. Yeah, because everything else, man, it's just a. And then it's just like oh, there's and ah. That's just how I feel for most of the movie. Because yeah, basically I guess Nemo's trying to find threats that could, I guess, harm his world, because that's what these Navy SEALs try to do, steal his metal, because that's like their livelihood. And then just because I guess in the past people have tried to attack him before, and he views people of the surface world as a threat, but I guess he kind of views the Wakandans different because he's seen that the government are starting to see the Wakandans as a threat. So maybe that's why he decides to like try and join forces with each other, but they kind of disagree because of what you know Nemo's people want to do. They want to basically destroy the government. That could cause innocents getting killed in the process. So the Wakandans want nothing to do with that. They just don't want a war with the government, and you know, Nemo trying to force them. Otherwise, there'll be consequences. Like he'll attack Wakanda if they don't listen. Yeah, man. And yeah, basically, there's someone else who could be a threat to Nemo, which he tries to get to by sending some of his people after this person, which I guess is Ironheart, because she's like basically a genius. I don't know if they're basically saying that she's smarter than Tony Stark, like some of the things that she's achieved at such a young age, and all the things she could achieve as well. Yeah, like I'd say she's an okay character. I mean, I didn't have any hope, especially knowing that she was in the movie, but I'd say she's just okay. That's all I can say. I mean, there was one scene where that has Okoye and Shuri talking to her, and it was a funny scene, I guess. Had a bit of chemistry there. I mean, Okoye is like a character that I've always been a fan of. Like in Black Panther, Infinity War, you don't really see much of her in Endgame, but yeah. And I just mainly love the actor as Michonne in The Walking Dead. So yeah, whoever she's playing, even Tupac's mother, like she was the best part of All Eyes on Me, because that movie was kind of a letdown when it came to actual Tupac's story. But when it comes to the mother, like they kind of did her better than actual Tupac, which is just weird. I mean, everything she's been in, like I've always really liked her, if not loved her, and I still like her in this, man. She's a badass when she's fighting like the Nemo's people. But then they seem to not actually die from her damage to Nemo's people. Like they just get back up eventually, and there's not really much she can do when Shuri gets taken by Nemo, because I guess she was gonna kill like this. Well, not she. Nemo was gonna kill the scientist and maybe Okoye if she tried to attack again. So Shuri just comes with Nemo, and then that's when she sees like Nemo's world and stuff, showing like what he's trying to defend from what he views as threats, like the government and this scientist, Ironheart. I mean, she just seems like a kid who wouldn't really want to hurt anyone, but say if the one people got their hands on her, like the government or something, they could be in danger. Yeah. Also, Martin Freeman, or if that's how you say his name, from The Hobbit. I guess they don't really use him that much in this movie. I'm surprised he was even in this movie at all. It seems like he was going to have an importance, but the Wakandans don't even trust him because of everything that's going on. So, and he ends up going in jail for sticking up for the Wakandans. But they break him out. Okoye does in like her new suit because she was working on these new suits. Yeah, they just feel like Power Ranger suits though. I mean, they do have Wakandan designs, but especially like Ironheart's when she gets her suit, it just feels like Power Rangers, man. And the CGI on Ironheart's suit, oh my god, it's terrible. Yeah, they could have did a better job, but I wouldn't know how the CGI team are getting treated at this point, man. I'm surprised not a lot of them have left. But I guess what else are they gonna do? And who knows what flipping Marvel would do if they tried to leave? Yeah, probably they'll say that they can't get any more work anywhere else if they leave or something, like threatening them basically and making them just work too hard, man. Yeah, and you're starting to notice it, man. I mean, I've noticed it since Doctor Strange 2. Like, oh my god, with the third Iron Man, it was just so bad. And you notice it when I guess you see Ironheart's suit. Mm, terrible. But Namor as a villain, I mean, they did okay with him. I feel like it could have been expanded on. I mean, they kind of, you know, do a bit of his origin of how he's basically the first mutant and how he's the only one who can breathe on the surface world where his people can't. Because I think something was happening to his people where they were dying, but the only way to save him was to give him something that would make him, I guess, live underwater so they would survive. And that's when his mother gave birth to him and he became like the one who can actually go up on the surface and actually breathe in it. But then they eventually, with the vibranium, create like a world where they'll have like similar tools to like the Wakandans, possibly even more dangerous than the Wakandans. So really, like Nemo's people are probably more dangerous than Wakanda anyway. To the point where, you know, when the government thinking like a lot of what Nemo's doing is from the Wakandans, yeah, man. Because who else would they think has that kind of power? They're not going to think of these people who they don't even know about yet. Yeah, but you know, Martin Freeman's character has trust in that it's not the Wakandans who are hamming the government, so he sticks up for him, and then you know he gets arrested and then saved by the end, I guess. He doesn't really have much input in this movie. Some of the side characters, I guess I'd say they're the most enjoyable part of the movie. The main characters, like just mainly depressed from everything that's happening, and when Nemo attacks, like I guess I'll get to it now. You know, basically the mother dies. I'm just like Jesus, man. I mean, you're seeing her trying to cope with her daughter's, I mean, her daughter's kidnapping, and then this is like from before it was the son's death, then the daughter's kidnapping. I mean, from the very beginning, it was the husband's death. Just all that loss, and then you know she basically dies herself. But she kind of sacrifices herself to save the scientists because they kind of bring her to Wakanda to protect her. And when Namor tries to get to her, like basically the mother protects her. And it seems like Namor does kill the scientist as well, but you know she survives, but the mother dies. Yeah, and it's sad that both of them die in the same movie. Man, it's just depressing. Yeah, and then it seems where they're just not much is going on, and I'm just like bored. When they're just doing a lot of talking that I don't really care about. Yeah, and then most of the fun scenes are from like the side characters, like that tribe from the first movie who save T'Challa when we think he dies by Killmonger. Like those characters are fun. Yeah, and I feel like in the future he should become the next Black Panther since they kind of broke the rules of not having another Black Panther. Also, when Shuri becomes Black Panther, she gets to see Killmonger again, which is cool. I guess. Yeah, that's a cool scene. Probably the coolest scene of the movie. Second is probably Namor's world. Like getting to see that. Well, I'm actually not sure with those two scenes because that's probably the best scenes of the movie. Everything else is just. And I'm just not really a big fan of Shuri becoming the next Black Panther. Then they try to, you know, seem like she's going to be like Killmonger with Wanting Revenge because, you know, they try to have like a No Way Home, Tom Holland kind of thing going on where she just wants to kill Namor. And then when it gets to the big fight, she kind of has a trap to stop his power. But then he breaks out, but then they end up on like a beach, and then everyone else is just fighting the, you know, Nemo's people, but they have like special suits to fight against them. And then you know, Ironheart has her own suit, which is like an improvement of the one that she has, like her Mark One suit, because she has like a Mark One suit, and then like the suit that I guess the Wakandans help her make by the end. Yeah. And she uses that to help, you know, fight Nemo's people. Also, I didn't really say about Okoye getting banished and how, you know, broken she was from that, but then she kind of accepts it because of how much, you know, the queen has lost to the point where she loses her own life too, man. Damn. And then the stuff with T'Challa's wife, with her kind of moving on after the first time, well, the second time he died. Like, the amount of times she lost the person that she loved. My god. It's kind of messed up. So from Infinity War, that's when his wife left and went to this place where she's looking after kids. But then, you know, the mother needs her help, and then she's the one who kind of helps get back Shuri and, you know, the scientist, Ironheart. To the point where you know all the bad stuff happens, and then you know the mother dies. Then they're planning to take a fight against Namor, and then you know Shuri gets the Wakandan power, sees Killmonger, and that's when they fight. to the point where, you know, she's basically fighting Namor by herself on the beach, but it seems like Namor defeats her. Like, she's like, well, she gets stabbed by Namor with the spear. It seems like she's dying, and Namor's just trying to escape at that point with the last bit of strength he has. But then she kind of is able to take it out, and, you know, still moving with the last bit of strength she has, and it seems like she's about to defeat Killmonger and kill him. But then she thinks of what her mother would do, and how it's not really the right thing to do, and you need to show them like what we're really about, because we're not really about killing. It's about mercy, and that's what I guess T'Challa would do, like he did with Killmonger. Even though he didn't really want to stab him, yeah, he even wanted to save him too. Yeah, it's just that Killmonger wanted to die. So I guess Namor in that moment, when I guess Shuri decides to, you know, spare him, he kind of sees his mother, because I guess the mother was more about peace than anything. And since I think was his mother taken away by war, and that's why it's always been about wanting war. But yeah, he changes his ways after Shuri spares him. So yeah, basically defeats Namor, takes Ironheart back home with, I guess, her dad's car, which I guess she fixes up, because I guess her dad passed away and she wasn't able to fix the car with her dad. So I guess Shuri helped to finish fixing it for her and sends it back to her home with, I guess, with her, because she can't really take the suit. It has to stay there. But yeah. And then, you know, at the end, you kind of see her finally properly mourning her brother, because she couldn't really get rid of something that she was holding on to that belonged to her brother. Then you just see the memories from, I guess, the first movie with her and her brother. And, you know, it's a pretty sad ending, I guess. Yeah. But it's like the acceptance of, you know, death at that point, since there's like 5 stages to, you know, what you go through when someone dies, like what you feel. Yeah. And she was on the final stage, acceptance. And yeah, that's the end of the movie. I'm not sure if there's any end credit scenes, but yeah, that's what I got to see. What did you think of the movie? Did you like it? Leave a like. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.